We've got shocking revelations on the failed Trump assassination, a testosterone-filled Olympics recap, and some fun facts about Kamala that the elites don't want you to know. My name is Brent Pella, and you're about to be saved.
Check it out, I'm an eagle! America! Woo! Die, commies!
Welcome to episode 1 of Brent Pella Saves America. Now, we've got a wild new realization in the investigation of the Trump assassination that may very well be what unites this country. But first, for those of you wondering why you're currently watching a guy who looks like Corey Matthews if he starred in Boy Meets Meth, talking to you from your screen right now, allow me to introduce myself. You might recognize me from doing videos with JP, and others might know me as California Governor Gavin Newsom. But since this is show number 1, I'd like to share a bit more about myself in order to fully gain your trust before conditioning you into believing everything I say. Like a good journalist. I was born and raised in Davis, California. A majority of my worldview was created during my formative years as a child at Grateful Dead shows in the early 90s. My political experience is strong. In 8th grade, I was voted class president at Holmes Junior High after running on a campaign that promised higher amounts of taco pockets at lunch. With that track record, I've actually served the public more than most career politicians in Washington, and I never took a single bribe. Anyone who says otherwise is a terrorist. My brief experience in junior high politics taught me everything I need to know about how the world works. So when my fascist-phobic redheaded stepbrother JP Sears first offered me a weekly show on his YouTube channel, I thought, wow, I'd love nothing more than to connect with your diverse audience of white people. Look, I know where I'm at, okay? I know what side of YouTube this is. A lot of you folks watching this right now probably have the word patriot in your social media bio. But don't get your patriot feelings hurt, okay? I'm not gonna tread on you, mostly because you have all the guns, and it makes the Californian inside me very nervous. You see, I consider myself a far middle radical centrist, or as those of you on the right would say, a pussy. And as those of you on the left would call me, a threat to democracy. But the truth is, I don't care if you lean more right than Ted Cruz's Pinocchio nose. And I don't care if you lean further left than a woman's penis in a Planet Fitness locker room. This is a show for all Americans, and I will do everything in my power to save this crumbling country, starting now. We've got a revelation about the failed Trump assassination that no one seems to be talking about. Now, we've all seen the recently released body cam footage, but a detail that we should be talking about more is when Trump turned his head and the bullet barely missed. You see, if he hadn't turned to look at that screen, which displayed all the stats of what he did to curb illegal immigration, he would be dead. Which means, if it wasn't for all those illegal immigrants crossing the border, Trump would not have survived that attack. He wouldn't have had anything to look at. Donald Trump owes his life to the hundreds of thousands of undocumented immigrants who came into this country illegally. And honestly, if Trump wants to get more of the illegal immigrant vote, which experts believe will make up roughly 95 to 100% of the vote this election season, then maybe he should put some ladders near that border wall to get more of them in here. And if Trump needs a source for reliable ladders, he can just ask Butler, Pennsylvania's new director of hidden ladders for her suggestions. The Olympics wrapped up this week with the US winning more medals than any other country, and many experts believe that's because America's the best, baby! Whoa, hell yeah, brother! Pickup trucks and Pepsi, Budweiser and bread, and pickup trucks and mud, and twins! One of the biggest stories of this Olympics was not the biblically accurate representation of the Last Supper. No, it was this guy, showing up fresh from a 3-hour nap to win a silver medal in the air rifle competition. Yusuf DK of Turkey, better known as John Wick Kebab, was quoted after the event saying, "Everyone says I was very calm, but actually storms were raging inside me." Which, when you think about it, is f***ing terrifying. Now, I'm not familiar with the standards of the Olympic Games, but I'd assume a competitor with storms raging inside them would be best suited for the 100-meter freestyle therapy session rather than shooting a gun on live TV. But maybe that's what it takes to be great. I wouldn't know. The last time I was in public with a storm raging inside me was when I ate way too many taco pockets at lunch. And I did not win a medal for what shot out of me that day. Moving on to our main story this week, Kamala's race. Is she Indian? Is she black? The answer is, who gives a f***? We already know that the left will use race as the main ingredient of their identity politics jambalaya, taking any opportunity to mask a lack of ability with an abundance of melanin. And we know that people on the right will fall for that trap, complain about it, get called racist, because honestly, you sound a little racist when you talk about it. And then the divide gets bigger and George Soros starts drooling in his chair like little dance puppets. So instead, let's do that weird thing where we highlight a specific issue of interest and break it down with facts. Today, immigration. As we await the day Kamala decides to answer questions from humans, we can only put our best efforts forward to learn about the positions that she held underneath... Nope, not underneath that guy. Come on, this is a serious show. That guy, yes. Positions including border czar. First off, the term border czar is not an official title. Joe Biden never gave her that title. I checked. The words border czar never came out of Biden's mouth, just like most other words that fail to escape Joe Biden's mouth. It wasn't really the position that she held. Or at least that's what extremely trustworthy news sources are frantically trying to tell us. The reality is, in March 2021, Kamala was tasked with overseeing diplomatic efforts to deal with issues spurring from migration in the Northern Triangle countries of El Salvador, Guatemala, and Honduras, as well as pressing them to strengthen enforcement on their own borders, and with developing and implementing a long-term strategy that gets at the root causes of migration from those countries. So clearly, that's much different than what a border czar would do. That's more like a border babysitter, you know? She shows up on weekends, has a couple drinks, invites her boyfriend over, they do some weird stuff by the fence, and then she goes home. Now, when Biden first appointed Kamala to this position, he said, when she speaks for me. Similarly, when Biden speaks, he speaks for others too. And when Kamala made her first visit to the border, only a very short 3 months after not being given the title border czar, she did speak, saying to everyone who might have been considering making the trek from Mexico to the US illegally, do not come. That's right, she told them, do not come. So to anyone who thinks she didn't do enough, I invite you to consider the amount of time and energy it takes to tell people, do not come. But just like I do when my girlfriend tells me the same thing, they came, and they came hard. Now, look, guys, I know I just made a dirty joke, okay? And if you don't like it, I'm sorry, but I don't have a team of writers here, okay? It's just me, 7 shots of espresso, and JP watching in the corner. Creepy. It's actually great branding. America, do not come. One of the best taglines in all of marketing history, sitting right there between I'm loving it and snap, crackle, pop. Unfortunately, potential illegal immigrants heard this brilliant catchphrase and immediately thought, impossible is nothing. It's time to think different so we can live mas. And then they came, and they came a lot. Sorry. But it should be noted that Joe Biden's administration and his for sure not, definitely not, never been border czar Kamala Harris did take more actions to combat illegal immigration in its first 3 years than Trump did in his entire presidency. But every single month of Joe Biden's administration has seen higher illegal immigration than Trump's highest month in office. And that's just a fun fact for you. But you'll still hear people saying all the time that the Biden-Harris administration has done the most to counteract illegal immigration, which is true. But let's reframe that fact to understand it properly. Let's say 2 gym bros named Joey and Donnie are both trying to get jacked, right? And Joey goes to the gym way more often than Donnie. Joey is known for doing the most to get freaking pumped, right? But while Joey is talking about all the workouts he's doing, the reality is they're mainly just 2-pound kettlebell swings and bench presses of air. So Donnie ends up getting way more jacked, and at the end of each of Joey's gym workouts, there's still way more immigrants illegally entering the gym. They're using the weight machines, and they don't even have a membership. Meanwhile, another guy named Bobby is in the corner just outworking everyone. No steroids, no massive disinformation campaigns, just a shirtless dude in jeans doing enough pull-ups to pull an entire country up from a recession. You love to see it. So in closing, be conscious. Be conscious of how the media tries to create a new narrative. Be conscious of falling for the traps of non-constructive conversations. And be conscious of how much time you're spending at the pull-up bar. Bobby has 17 more sets to do, and he's been waiting patiently. And now it's time for our Savior of the Week. This is a weekly honor that will be given to someone who truly embodies what it means to be an American for all Americans. Someone who is putting their country ahead of themselves. Someone who definitely knows the difference between the national anthem and the Pledge of Allegiance. This week's Savior is me! And I'll be here every single week until this country is turned around. This has been Brent Pella Saves America. You're welcome for my service.